Welcome to the AGC podcast. If you don't know us already, the Akuta Group of Companies is a British interior design collective with a portfolio of 6 international award-winning design brands. I'm your host, Tori, and in this pod we'll be revealing exactly what it takes to build a global design collective that works in some of the world's most exclusive postcodes. You'll meet the talented individuals behind each brand, as well as the many interesting people that have joined us along the way. Stay with us to hear more about how we got here, where we are going, and how we plan on being a force for good in this world of possibilities. Today, we are welcoming the wonderfully talented Sophie Wilson. Soph is one of our associate design directors and has been working for AGC for about 7 years. Is that right,
that's
Soph?
Correct. 7 years.
And so for the past few years, I think it's fair to say you've been working on the the internal team, focusing on the sustainable side, helping us get our B Corp certification, and now moving on to a really exciting new range. So I think it was only right that you took control and were the design lead on the new furniture range, so the Conscious collection, and we're here to learn a lot more about it. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here and tell you a bit more.
But first of all, drink of choice, what did you go for?
So I've gone for a black filter today from Kiss the Hippo, which is a carbon negative company. It's just opened around the corner from the office. So I thought I'd give it a go. It's very tasty.
It is the morning as well, so we need to be on coffees rather than
So
cocktails.
it's sensible.
Yeah, I've gone for a bit of a milky coffee, but it's delicious. So cheers. And let's begin. So if you could give us a little bit of intro into the Conscious collection, or if you want to select your favourite pieces, what you loved working on. And for anyone listening as well, we're going to pop up the pieces on the screen now as well to give you an idea of what they look like.
The Conscious collection is something that I was working on for quite a while, and we just really wanted to kind of challenge the preconceptions of what sustainable furniture looks like. We still very much wanted it to be a design-led collection, and we still wanted it to have the turnkey element that our current furniture collections offer to the market. So we just really looked at the different textures and shapes of the furniture to make sure that, yes, it appeals to the current consumer and the current trends and leans into those, but also that the pieces will be good quality and will last then, a good period of time, so that you're not in a rush to go and change every so often. And we really wanted this furniture to be something that you could invest your money in and be happy with the outcome.
Yeah.
So my favourite piece would be the bar stools.
Okay,
so they
tell us
are made from coffee beans and fish net material.
Random combination.
Yeah, as an avid coffee drinker, I think I just kind of like that little touch. But so the seat itself is made from the waste material, and then there's an aluminium frame, which is sustainably sourced as well. So they're made in Denmark, and once they reach the end of their lifetime with their user, they can be taken apart and reused again up to 3 times. And I think that's just a really interesting fact. And it's not just then thinking about, when I own this bar stool, but it's also then when the next person is as well.
So you would send it back to the supplier and they'd recycle it in whichever way they need to. That's quite amazing. What other pieces? So I've actually seen the collection, and I have to say my favourite piece is the sofa. Love the sofa. It just looks great. It's a beautiful piece, and knowing that it's sustainable as well is a great thing to be looking at.
So that sofa is made from recycled cotton and recycled plastic. That's the fabric itself, and it's a lovely monochrome woven fabric. And then the sofa frame is made from FSC wood, and the supplier that manufactures that particular item, they will replant trees for every unit that they are sold.
Okay.
So, unit that they sell. So I just think there is a real story behind every piece within the collection, and I'm just excited to share that with everybody. And
I bet. Yeah.
get everybody's
Show it
brains
off.
thinking.
Yeah. I'm sure it will do so well with clients as well, because everyone's so hot on the topic now.
Yeah.
And it's so attractive for everyone to be buying into that.
Yeah, people start to feed their own interests and want to learn more, and I think that's the best thing about the collection, is just sharing the story and getting people engaged and getting them to think twice about what they are currently looking at for.
But how hard was it to actually source these products? Because I feel like they're so hard to come by. You really need to be searching for these things to find anything remotely sustainable. It's not easy.
It is. It's probably easier to go and get other items, but once you start talking to suppliers and actually learning about some of the processes, you'll find out that people maybe are more sustainable than you thought, or that with small tweaks that we can support them with, then they will, become more sustainable and more conscious of what they're doing.
Yeah.
So this collection isn't 100% sustainable. It is our first attempt, and it is something that we will continue to, evolve and work on with each piece. And as new technologies develop and as new suppliers, change their techniques and things like that, change their sourcing, you will hope that this collection kind of evolves with that.
Yeah.
And we very much want to support, suppliers, but also, if someone comes to us and they have a specific requirement or things like that, it's a collaborative effort, this collection.
Okay. And is that why, so obviously we've called it the Conscious Collection, is that why rather than something with sustainable in the title, it's just more of a continuing to change range?
It's being aware as well as being sustainable, because a lot of companies are at the beginning of this kind of journey, and what we think is sustainable today might not actually turn out to be so sustainable as we progress.
Yeah.
I'd like to think eventually there won't be too much recycled plastic in the world, or maybe not as much as there is currently. So maybe. But
you're right, and then it will turn to something else.
Yeah.
Like with the whole carbon thing, is everyone was trying to replant trees, but now actually that's been done so much, it's finding the next thing.
Yeah, we need to look at whether actually replanting trees is the best option for the UK or for whatever we're trying to achieve. Maybe actually what we need to be looking at is there's coral replanting and algae replanting going on in the ocean, and there's organisations that are doing that, and that actually takes in more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere than planting a tree. So it's just, as everybody collectively learns more, it's going to make
it will make
better.
A difference. So what was important to you or AGC as a whole on producing this collection?
I think it was just important that we made that first step and we got the collection out there, because it will start a conversation and it will engage other furniture suppliers and other clients just to really question what they're doing, and then as an industry we can make changes. There's a lot of furniture that ends up in landfill, there's a lot of mattresses that do, so we just really need to start making the changes while we can. There's no point sitting back and doing nothing.
Yeah. And what was the most interesting product that you found? I think probably your description of the coffee beans chair.
Yeah, but even down to things like the bedding is made from eucalyptus silk, and that's
I remember
so
you
interesting.
saying that,
I never really heard of that before.
You'd never think a plant like that could be made into bedding.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's anything is possible, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and that company is also a fellow B Corp, so having that kind of B Corp status, you do start recognising and looking out for other companies, and you do want to support them as well. So it is a challenging accreditation to receive. So
yeah,
I'm really glad that we got them in the collection.
Was there anything? I guess that sort of the eucalyptus covers that, but anything else that was a bit of a quirky new material or anything that you would like to see starting to be recycled?
I think, for example, window treatments are now kind of where I'm looking to next. So the foils in the apartment or show apartment are made from recycled plastic, and I'm just interested now to kind of take, I think fabric for me is quite interesting because I like to see the different colours and the textures and patterns.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that develop a little bit more, and then it just kind of plays into some of the legal side of things, so the FR contract side, that requires a lot of chemicals to make that fit for purpose, and I'd love to see how potentially that technology can move forward, because it's quite outdated. And I think it's something then we need to think about. It's just, there's the whole life cycle of everything. So
it's trying to help educate other suppliers, isn't it, as well, because some suppliers probably aren't even looking into it yet, because they do
so we have one supplier that actually has I've started the conversation with, and they are testing different chemical, or not, well, they're not chemicals, that's the thing, to make them to make that FR test pass. So I think there's so many different angles as well that this whole collection can go down, so it's quite exciting.
And so how else can we educate people as well on this topic? Is there anything, is it just providing more information to people and trying to be more transparent with what you're doing, or is there anything we can tell people to go and read into or look into? What's sort of the best way, do you think?
So I think, transparency and information, giving people informed choices is going to be the best path in my mind. It's what I like, to have a lot of information before I make decisions. So I think that's just, then people can, decide what's important for them in their company, or them personally, and follow forward with that.
So when you talk about recycled plastics, do we know, so I can't remember what I was listening to, but there was all the thing about some suppliers are not necessarily suppliers, maybe it's more in the clothing world or wherever, they're taking new plastic bottles and then recycling them, so that they're saying they're recycled, but they're not actually using used products. Do you know, or how do you sort of tell with suppliers whether they're legit?
So there are accreditations and organisations that will provide that to the fabric suppliers, provide the used plastic or the ocean plastic. So that I look out for those little icons.
Oh, fine, so I guess if it's ocean, then it has been.
And you should be able to then trace it all back. So it's quite an interesting process.
Okay. And then in terms of the actual design of the scheme, because obviously it's such a beautiful collection, and you haven't just plonked everything you found together and made it work, it actually works really well. How did you go about designing it and making sure it all pulled together?
So I do often visit furniture shows and try and see for trend forecasts, things like that, and that was very important that like I said, feeds into the collection. Not heavily so that it'll be outdated, but we just wanted the palette to be quite fresh and to have a lot of texture and feel quite homely instantly. So even down to the wall colours, we wanted them to be quite warm.
Have you picked up on the trends and the colours and
so
all the seasonal?
It's fairly neutral, but then so in the first bedroom we've painted this really beautiful dark red coat paint, and it's really then kind of brings the whole room to life and gives it a whole different feeling. And I just think that kind of dramatic kind of contrast between the neutral bed will then just give people a bit of more interest. Maybe they will then think about doing a darker wall, or if not, that's okay, because then the neutral bed will still appeal to them.
So it was things
about,
to think about.
Pushing the boundaries a little bit, but still wanted to appeal to a lot of people.
Exactly. And I guess, are you going to make it an ever-evolving collection? So there's going to be continuation of the research behind the scenes to make sure if there's a new product on, actually maybe that should go in the collection as well.
100%. It's just very much an evolving collection, and
I guess it needs to be timeless as well, because it's going to be part of all the other ranges, and it's going to be here to stay. So it needs to be something that appeals to everyone.
Exactly.
Okay, and then last question is, can you name, or is there any high street stores or online stores that are a bit more accessible for the regular person to actually go out and buy the more eco-friendly products, as it were?
I think you'll definitely, if you start looking for them, you'll see them then non-stop. Like I said, after we became a B Corp, I was seeing B Corps everywhere. Things like, Ocado, they've got a B Corp section and you can shop exclusively from there. That's why I use styling the fridge in the show apartment. It's all from B Corp companies. So right down actually as well to the bathroom products, the candles and the diffusers are also from a B Corp.
So you can actually, there's enough out there to find it.
I think maybe clothing, that's kind of the next step. You always hear that as a quite tough market to break. But yeah.
I feel like you're quite a good one to live by the B Corps, and you're always finding B Corp products that
honestly,
even you to buy.
Once you look, you won't stop.
They're everywhere. Once you know, you start. Great. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Soph, and look forward to seeing the rest of the collection.
Yeah. See you soon.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Interior Insider. Be sure to check out the full portfolio and more information about the Conscious collection on the Box 97 website, or view it in person exclusively at the Arc in Old Street. Links will be available in the episode bio. Remember to subscribe to be the first to listen to our latest episodes, and be sure to comment who you'd like to hear from next. Speak soon.